From 5th grade to the end of 8th grade, actually I think it was even 4th grade, I carpooled with one of my sister's friends, her sister, and her mom. And it was kind of annoying. It was okay. It was different. And I'll tell you why it happened. And my sister had moved up to middle school, and it was far away from our elementary school. So my parents had to change up their morning routine, figure out a new way to get us to school. And that consisted of dropping me off first, early as hell, like we're talking 7 o'clock in the morning. And you haven't lived until you've got screamed at by the lunch ladies for coming into the lunchroom before 7:15, which happened to me several times. And then they dropped my sister off at the middle school and then reversed the process in the afternoons. And I hated it because she took forever to get out of school and I'd have to wait. And it took so long, the teacher wouldn't let me wait where my parents would pick us up. So I'd have to walk down to the gym and then get yelled at for not being where I was supposed to be, even though a teacher told me to be there. But what happened was, my grandparents would pick us up from school from time to time. Like I said before, we spent most days after school there and summers, so it was pretty normal. Well, one day, my grandmother's cooking and my grandpa's like, I'll pick up the kids. And keep in mind that she did it most all the time. And maybe once in a blue moon, he'd do it. And this time it was the blue moon that went over poorly because he shows up at the elementary school to get me and he doesn't have my sister. And I'm like, hey, where is she? They closed the gate. Huh? They closed the gate. I'd been to the middle school a couple times and I didn't know what gate he was talking about. There was no gate to like the parking lot. There was nothing. And he kept repeating, they closed the gate. And I was like, okay, they closed the gate. So that means you just leave your granddaughter at the scary middle school in the scary neighborhood for no reason other than they closed a gate. And what they closed was, there was a gate by the gym, I guess to prevent people from getting in there. And that's what they closed. And we get back and my grandmother's like, wait a minute, where's your sister? Ask him. And he just kept repeating, they closed the gate. And you're probably thinking, well, maybe he had dementia. He really didn't. He may have got confused, had a moment, but he never really had dementia. He was pretty sharp. Man worked on puzzles. He was not someone that had moments like that happen. It was when my grandmother's freaking out, she sends him back to get her, and she comes back with her. My mom hears about this, and it's just like, what the hell? It's one thing to like be a little late, but to make a mistake like that, she of course didn't say anything to him because she was much too polite. And one thing I've learned as an adult is you don't tell other adults what to do, generally speaking. So she goes to see my sister's friend's mom and says, we need to start a carpool. I will pick your kids up and take them to school if you will pick mine up and take them back home, which it worked out really well because they basically lived half a mile from my grandmother's house. So it worked out perfectly. My mom picked us up on Fridays. And that worked out great because then my dad could, even on his off days, he could play golf in the afternoon. But the drawback was they both took forever to get out of school. Like, I don't know if they just wanted to live there or what the deal was, but they took forever to get out of school. So often we'd be waiting a long time. This is when I was in middle school. Elementary school, the lady picked us up first for some reason, and I was cool with that. And then got to middle school, and one time she forgot to pick me up, and I was stuck there. But I'll tell that story another day, because I'll need a lot of tape for that, because I still get bitter about it. But it worked out well. They had to run errands, and we'd sometimes have to deal with them. But other than that, it was okay. But one errand in particular I'll never forget. They were all in Girl Scouts, and it was their week to have the scout meeting at their house. So we picked up the entire Girl Scout troop. And this was an Aerostar van, pretty big. Like front seats, middle seats, back seats, far back seats. We had people, like, I sat up front. I had somebody in the floorboards in front of me. 2 people sitting beside us, in between the front and middle seat, like the front seats, like the driver's seat. Every bench full to capacity. Every bit of floor full to capacity. Nobody could put their feet down. I think we had about 26 people in that car. I wish we had smartphones back then, because a picture would have made it worth it. And we drove very illegally with very few people in seatbelts and got to where we're going. But it was, I still think about that. Me and my sister still talk about that maybe once a month to this day. But carpooling was all right. It was the way to go, because it made up for my grandpa's mistakes. But other than having to wait, because my sister's friend was really social. So after school, she had to talk to everybody she'd ever met, because we'd get out of school at 2:45, and the high school got out at 3:15 would roll around, and they still wouldn't be out yet. And I just get so mad and frustrated. But that's the reason for the carpooling and what carpooling was like.